Hey people, Teal Gamer here, and this is the Outer Worlds, and I have basically compiled some stuff that I have found wrong with this game so far. And obviously people are going to hate this video, they're going to shit on me and do things like that, but that's not going to change the facts about what it is that I do, because the channel that I run here picks apart game development and bad game development, decisions that just never should have been allowed in the game, despite what anybody says. And so without further ado, let me get into it, because I guess if I continue, I might be in here. But first of all, I'm going to point out that the customization screen required a couple of pieces of information that simply didn't exist. And secondly, when you're going through the customization screen, you get a character appearance, which doesn't make any sense because the game is first-person view and it's a single-player game. So it's not like other people can even see you. That's not even a valid excuse. Why you were actually able to make your character that way with that much detail is moronic, okay? It's stupid. So now that brings me into right here, where for people that like to argue with me about instructions, do you want everything explained? Let me point something out here. What is written on the screen here, what is shown, is a box with a keybind or button, and because I'm using a wireless Xbox One controller on the PC, and the specs are up in the upper right corner. And so when you have the beginning of a game, if you do not explain to the player who's never picked up the game before how to actually play the game with basic instructions, they're not going to be able to play it. Now, what happens here is gamers like to argue with me, well, you should have known to do this, you should have known to do that, which are opinions, they're not facts, because you can't take what you already know or information that you think would work and then apply it here, because the person who's playing the game for the first time doesn't have that information to put here. So trying to argue that point is moronic. It's also pointless and has no basis as much as you want. So you can say, well, why didn't you do this? Because if you're in the beginning of a game, why didn't the game tell you to do it? I can use the same arguments. So let me pull up here this specific piece of information on the screen now. Okay, LS, which abbreviated, everybody knows that, but to say someone should know what that means is ridiculous, because it's LS. That could mean anything. I know what it means, and you guys know what it means, but this is from a point of view that a person who's never played this will not get. All right, so it says LS, walk. Now, even knowing this, okay, here you have a piece of information on the screen in a box. This box that has LS walk in it. So LS walk, whatever. So it also doesn't say you should move it forward. It just says LS is to walk. Well, if you don't know enough to Kirk, shut the hell up, because that's not what this is about. Okay, you cannot. This is ridiculous to have this much space and not say left thumbstick is to walk. Push it forward, move around, whatever. That's what it says. Now, the other thing I'm going to point out here is that once a developer starts putting this type of information on the screen, a box with pieces of information in it that basically states what it does, it needs to continue doing that for all elements of it. So if you need to jump over something, if you need to duck down, if you need to move the camera, those are all basic functions that somebody shouldn't automatically know to do, because if somebody's never played a game, they won't know that. So I'm going to do precisely what the screen says to do without adding in any common sense or attempting anything, because I'm in the beginning of a game. Let's say I never played this game before, and I'm just going to do exactly what the information on the screen tells me to do. Okay? So left stick to walk. Now, I'm assuming, because it's going to tell me that I'm going to keep getting pieces of information like this on the screen, a box that has pieces of information in it that tells me exactly what to do. So here we go. Let's try this. Let me fix something on the screen here. All right. All right. So let me get out of here. Okay. So I want to point out that it says WASD walk. So I'll even use the keyboard for this to make it even easier. Okay. Now, there's supposed to be something else on the screen now that tells me if I need to look around or whatever. So another box with information like that should have already been on the screen explaining what to do next. So if I was just to do this, like it said, okay, fine. Now, I'm just, again, not even going to, somebody like, why do you turn the camera? Okay, so now, spacebar jumps. So let's see what the A to jump over obstacles. Okay, so, keeping in mind, notice how you get told how to move, jump, but it hasn't told you how to turn the camera. So somebody who's never played this will never know enough that the camera can even be turned. Well, that's common sense. Shut up, because that has nothing to do with it. If the game doesn't, you should know it. No, the game. If the game's giving you these pieces of specific, detailed information in a box on the screen, then yes, it is absolutely supposed to be doing that. So let me see. Spacebar, jump over obstacles. This is just everything I found wrong with this so far. Left control, go underneath to check obstacles and sneak. So let's see what it says here. All right. Notice how it never told me to stand back up. So, what it should tell you is that these buttons, it should have also put on there, you need to toggle this to stand back up. Press it once to crouch down, press it again to stand back up. It didn't even bother saying that. That is bad instruction. If you're going to go over this much detail, then you need to include that crap in there as well. Well, why wouldn't you press it again? Stop trying to ignore what I'm saying and stop being a jackass. If it tells you to duck down once, then it also needs to say, press it to duck down, press it again to stand up. It's not that hard to put that information in the same box. Sprint. Left shift. What does it say for this? Okay, so now, I'm going to point out that when it's talking about a controller here, it doesn't actually tell you how to sprint. Now, somebody's going to look at this and say, well, look at that arrow means... It doesn't say click or press down left stick. It doesn't even say that. As far as anybody knows, that could just be a design in the stick, how they decided to do it. If you want to try to argue that that means it, then why aren't you arguing that it should be telling you to click? There's so much space in this box here. It says click the left thumbstick to sprint. How hard is that? To argue that point, well, you want everything told to you? When you're talking about these detailed instructions at the beginning with this much detail, yes, it needs to tell that. So let's see here. Okay, so let's continue here. Left shift sprint. Now, again, I'm just using exactly what was told to me so far. So far, a person will know enough to left control sneak and crouch to avoid detection. All right, we already did all that. What's funny is, with the sprint option, I'm just going to point out that notice how none of the other buttons have an arrow key down to say press them. But you'll argue that the left thumbstick, somebody should know enough that. Somebody should not know enough that B presses either. I mean, the same argument applies here. It doesn't even have the same design aspect to it. So here's the other thing. In avoid detection, it doesn't even tell me what I'm supposed to be avoiding detection from. While sneaking, use tall grass, rocks, or other cover to hide from enemies. Use this to sneak past enemies or sneak up on them to initiate combat. Okay, so let's go in here. It's going to basically tell me I would know enough to go into the grass here. But notice how somebody who's not played this game is not going to figure out that you can actually turn the camera. They're not going to be able to do that. So what I find amusing is that they can tell you all these other things with specific button details, can't complete the instruction, and then actually completely avoid even putting a very basic instruction in that was needed. You need to learn how to walk? Yes, you do. Do you need to learn how to turn to the camera? Yes, you do, because this is like retarded. Like, how dumb do you have to be to argue these points? Like, seriously. Somebody's like, you're not going to turn the camera? All right. It never told you the camera can even be turned, so stop trying to say, well, you should know enough, or why didn't you try it? Because the person was never even made aware that's even something that can be done. Well, you know, you're looking around. Shut the hell up. You're retarded. The instructions about how to walk and everything else are there. Then you can put an instruction on how to move the camera. It's not that hard. So, keeping in mind this. All right. The awareness meter over enemies' heads tell you if they are unaware, suspicious, investigating, or alerted. Now, notice it doesn't give you an indication to what the awareness meter looks like. Okay? Because if you're going to say, well, it says it, I can say games have other things over the enemy's head like health bars. What's to differentiate if there's an enemy health bar or an enemy armor? What differentiates? How is a player supposed to know what a health bar is, what the awareness meter is? Well, it's usually red. Stop trying to make and manipulate the wording on this. They didn't say this is what the awareness bar looks like, so don't say what you think it looks like. It doesn't dictate what anything is. It's not describing any of these key factors. It absolutely could have said enemies have an awareness meter. This means this, and then show you this is what it looks like. This is this, this is this, this is this. How hard is that? It doesn't even give you an icon indicator if there is one. So there is right now, the player's being made aware that enemies have an awareness, but then the player has no idea how to know what that awareness is according to the enemy, or whether they're unaware of them, suspicious, or investigating. It doesn't matter. None of these things are relevant unless you explain what the awareness meter looks like and how to know which one is which. It's like, it amazes me the stupidity level of players that actually think that you should just have some random psychic understanding without breaking down what is actually being told here. So let me continue. I don't even know if there's an enemy around me. It's just telling me if there are enemies around. So here's the thing. Because it didn't tell you to turn the camera, or the camera could even be turned, guess what? The key factor on one crucial element on playing has been devoid from this entire so-called teaching you how to play or tutorial or whatever it is. This is the beginning of the game. The developers absolutely should have told you the camera can be turned. I'm sorry, but this is ridiculous. So this is Obsidian for you. They always make these games with shitty instructions in them. And then people are like, these games are so great. It's why I trashed the shit out of Baldur's Gate, Icewind Dale 2, Neverwinter Nights, all those style of games. They're bad. They're very bad. I have no idea what this shit is. Okay, the screen turned purple and somebody said something. Okay. I guess apparently it's something here. Now, what really gets me is somebody's like, well, didn't you listen to what the character said? As if that's a valid argument to what just happened. Well, they just said this and they just said that. How is a player supposed to know what somebody's saying coincides with what happens in the game? This isn't like watching a movie that's being narrated. It's just not. Well, James always used to get into trouble, and then they show flashback scenes of him, doing stuff that somebody knows you get in trouble for, so that you can comprehend that. If they said, James always did stuff when he was younger to get in trouble, yeah, that's great, but what are they talking about? If they didn't show those flashback scenes, you wouldn't have any connection point. And so, if they don't tell you, if you're gonna tell somebody that they should have been connected to what the person's saying, or should have been aware that what they're talking about shows up, then they should have put a message on the screen saying, the guy, what just happened to you was this, or what that purple flash was this. Then that way you can actually say that, okay, the person that has that's talking in your earpiece or whatever it is telling you about these whatever. So that's another problem with this. Now, as far as I'm concerned, it just got done talking to me about enemies, and then that happened. So does that mean an enemy is aware of me? Does that even have anything to do with enemies or whatever? So the game didn't actually differentiate anything. As far as I know, that purple thing was about an enemy. Is that an enemy? Yeah, I don't understand this. Like, what the hell's going on here? See, one thing Obsidian's really been bad at is compasses. They're friggin' horrible with compasses. They're really bad. They're really bad with mapping systems, interior mapping systems, compasses, and everything else. Now, how would I know I have low health unless the game tells me I have low health? See, here's the other interesting thing. Somebody's like, why didn't you jump over that? Because that's not an obstacle. An obstacle is something literally in your way. A space or a crevice that you're supposed to jump over or whatever it is not something in your way. It's a path blocker. It's not, I don't say it's a path blocker, but it's not blocking your path. An obstacle actually literally, this is an obstacle. This rock is an obstacle. If I want to go over it, I jump. Okay? It didn't tell you to jump over cracks or crevices. It only told you to jump over obstacles. So, again, a person's only going to jump over things that they can't get through. This is an obstacle. That space that I just fell through was not. So, don't know what that is. It's a hose, I guess. Alright, so this is another thing I can't stand about Obsidian's bullshit is the dialogue trees or whatever you want to call this, these speech dialogue things. Now try the rest. What does that even mean? Now try the rest. Oh, okay. What does toggle history mean? Oh, okay. So there it is. You tried the best. Now try the rest. Spacer's choice. All right. So it's okay. So he's basically saying here. Okay. Did I ask him about the patrol? See, here's something interesting. I'm going to point out that that L, I can actually state that looks like left thumbstick. For those people that want to know why you don't apply common sense things, because that's a left thumbstick. That means, what is that? Like, that's all I'm saying. It's just there. Just barely scrape out of my life. All right, so no matter what I choose, I'm screwed. So. Alright, so you get experience points for this. That's funny. Alright, so I just told him to give me his gun, but he doesn't say anything about, you just asked me for my gun and called me an idiot, but you don't know where you are. There's so many I can poke so many holes in this game's story. It's ridiculous. So basically, you use this guy to get a weapon? Really? Ah, that's funny. I have no idea what the hell I'm doing here. This is just funny. That's nasty. I don't know what any of this shit is. Right, so what I find interesting is they didn't tell you if you even have an inventory system. It didn't even tell you have an inventory system, so this is kind of stupid. So, yeah. One thing I've always hated about these things is can you sheath your weapon? Like, what are you supposed to be doing here? I don't understand. Like, is there a quest log? So, again, these are just basic pieces that were never given to you. That should have been. They should have, if there's a quest log, they already should have went over it. They should have told you how to open it, check it, things like that. That's if it exists. It may not. Then you get into how do you sheath your weapon? Can you even sheath it? Is it possible? You know, what you're supposed to actually be doing at this point. You know, I mean, there's so much stuff that's missing from this game, and it's typical of Obsidian to put out an unfinished. They put out a game with an unfinished tutorial that teaches you the basics, because right now a player that's picked this up is just gonna get fed up with this and then turn it off. And then while everybody's talking about how good the game is, they're like, this game sucks. It didn't explain jack shit to me. And then people are going to go on this whole, well, you should have known this, or you should have known that. And then the player's going to be like, listen, the game friggin' didn't tell me jack shit. It told me base pieces of things here and there. And then you can't use that information to play this game. It's not even possible. So somebody who actually picks this game up is going to have all the problems I've just mentioned going through this entire thing. So, I mean, you got ranging from the camera not rotating, not even explaining that, giving pieces of information that are incorrect. It's missing pieces of information. It doesn't even give you base things on it. It's not going through if you have an inventory system or not. It's not going through if it has a journal or not. Because right now, again, a player who picks this up and has never played a game before is just going to sit here and they're going to go, what's supposed to be going on here? And so this is typical of Obsidian to put out a game with an unfinished tutorial. It's absolutely friggin' ludicrous that these publishers get paid this amount of money, but they can't even put in a simplified pieces of instruction. So this is like, it's bad enough games are getting stripped of content, but they've always been bad as far as I'm concerned as not explaining basic concepts. I mean, hell, you're being told on screen how to press, how to crouch, how to sprint, how to, when you walk up to somebody and talk, things like that. But they can't even tell you if you can rotate the camera, whether or not you have an inventory system, whether or not how to reload weapons if you even can, how to sheath your weapon if you can. I mean, are you going to get a penalty for having your weapon out if you talk to somebody? These are all little things in the basics that a player really should have been told as they're going over this. And so when you pick up like items for the first time, if you have an inventory, they need to go over that with you, and they didn't. So this is absolutely typical Obsidian to be this stupid. So this brings me to another point. What is that red circle? I know that's my reticle for aiming, or I'm assuming that is, but it doesn't say what red indicates, if it even indicates anything. Like, what is that? I don't understand. So a player who's never played this game has no idea what the hell's going on here. You just get done talking to this, and he says, I'll be on my way, and then that's it. So a player is going to be stuck here trying to guess what has to be done. Now, when a cinema cut happens, when you come into these areas, I shouldn't say most of the time, some of the time, it'll block off the area you came through because the cinema cut will trigger. It'll have you walk through, have you walking in a cinema cut. It'll have you walking in an area, and a door will shut or something like that, and then you won't be able to get back out the way you came. So somebody will, using common sense, try to go back out the way they came and can't. So, again, you have these. This is just bad because, again, it also went through another thing. It told you about was the enemy's awareness bar, but it never even told you what the enemy awareness bar looks like or how to even know. It gave different levels of it, but it never explained what those levels were, as in color coordination or how to know or anything else. It just says enemies are aware of you, but you have no idea what to look for when an enemy is like that. So. It's kind of interesting. So what am I supposed to be doing here? I don't understand. Like, what am I, like, it should have at least given you what to do after you get done talking to this. Go over here, do this, and pull this, and do this. It doesn't state any of that. Actually, in fact, it told me when I got this gun from him, it told me to do right trigger to attack. Okay. I guess apparently he's an enemy. So, how are you supposed to know what an enemy is? Okay. So now I took it. Notice it doesn't tell you how to actually equip it if you even can. Does it automatically equip? It's typical of Obsidian to leave a game in this mess. Am I supposed to jury-rig my way out of here? I don't understand. Well, I guess I was crouched down. I didn't even know that. What am I supposed to be doing here? I don't understand. What does this game want me to do? Can I go up there? What I don't understand. Like, what? It says to crouch to go down under things. I don't understand what I'm supposed to be doing. Oh, you can't go that way. Or do I go this way? It's not. Huh. What I think is funny is that I'll get gamers saying, well, you're too stupid to figure this out. And it's just, those are the types of people that really need to be friggin' slapped so friggin' hard that they go into a coma so they can't talk to anybody anymore. Because they act like, they say stuff just to spite you. So some of them are just friggin' trolling. So that's just not a big deal. But it's the idiots that actually believe somebody is supposed to know what to do here despite not having any possible way to know that. Because they decide to go try something. But I'd like to know what exactly is it that they're trying and where they got the idea in the game. I'm not asking what their opinion is, well, you just decided to do this. I'm not asking their opinion about that. I'm asking where the information in the game came from that told them to even give them the idea to entertain doing that. Or entertain the idea of doing that. So this is, like I said, this is just really amusing because this is the problem I go into with all games when it comes into this crap. Because you're in the beginning of a game, and they didn't even give you anything to work off of. They gave you a few pieces of key things here and there, but those weren't even completed. So, what exactly is supposed to be being done here? And for people to go, well, you did this and this. I don't care what people are saying to do. If you cannot divulge where in the game it told you to do that, not from an outside source, not from YouTube, go watch this. Where in the game did you get the information from? That's the thing that gamers consistently fail on all ends to ever provide when they're asked. They just say, well, watch this. I did. Totally ignoring what exactly it is that I said to do. So, the only thing I've been told so far is I'm using the information in the game. As I said in the beginning of this video, I'm using only the information that the game gave me. If the game doesn't give me a piece of information, then guess what? It's not a viable argument for anybody to say, well, why did you try this? Why didn't you try that? Because the game didn't tell me that. And this video is about using the game information, not what your opinion is or what a YouTube video says. It doesn't matter whether or not the YouTube video shows what to do. This isn't about showing what to do. This is about where in the game itself did you get that? Why would you do that? What in the game told you to do that? Since you're at the beginning of the game, do you need the game to tell you everything? Obviously you do, because this is retarded. Oh, you're retarded for not knowing. And this just goes in a circle. But the bottom line comes down to it is, I have the game open. The game did not tell you anything about this area. Oh, explore the area. That's my favorite one. Explore. You didn't spend long enough after you spent 3 hours. I'd like to know what the definition of long enough is. So, with this particular aspect, this is when games start getting turned into schoolwork. This is unacceptable to have the game not... This is completely unacceptable to not at least give the player something to do here that tells them what to do, because you're at the beginning of a game. The game needs to tell you what to do here so you can at least have some idea about what it is. The only reason I know enough that these can be jumped over is because at the beginning of the game, I had a piece of information that said, press whatever the button was to jump over obstacles. And so what's really funny is that if you go back and watch it, I fell through a crack on the floor. So people will argue, well, why didn't you jump that? Game didn't tell me to. You need the game to tell you to jump? It told you to jump over obstacles. Yeah. An obstacle is this. Something that prevents you from actually walking forward. You have to jump over it. And it's just funny how gamers try to get me to troll by repeating this. But the interesting thing here is that gamers are retarded. Their language is absolutely ridiculous and stupid, and they generalize things and cherry pick their arguments and apply what they want to apply where they want to apply it when they feel like applying it instead of applying it straight across the board. So it's like in one of my streams, I had one person go, I'd like to sit here and talk to you, like to listen to you ramble your schizophrenic ramblings. And it was right after he said, you can look things up. So what he basically said was anybody who has to look up anything in a game, no matter where it is, if you have to leave the game to go look it up, you're schizophrenic. But, of course, he didn't want to apply what he said to himself or anybody else. He just wanted to apply it to me when he was talking to me. But literally that's what he said. If you have to go, and it's in my other stream, you can go look at it. So, there's really nothing more for me to do here. So, it's just interesting. So I'm just going to leave it in this condition. I'm just going to stop the video, and I'm going to leave it up, and I'm just going to allow the hate comments to pile up so then I can just start deleting comments that have no relevance to this, because the thing here that I'm proposing the question is, where in the game did they get the information? I'm not asking their opinion about what they think a screen looks like or what they decided to do. I'm asking, where in the game did the game tell you this? If the game doesn't tell you this, then you have no argument. So that's really all it comes down to, and that's really all there is to it. So the thing here is, before ending this video, I should not have to look up what to do to leave this. The game should have given me some piece of information on exactly what... The game should have told me exactly what it is I have to do here to move out, or get out of this area, or do whatever. So that way I at least have an idea about what I'm capable of doing in the game so I can use that information as a learning curve to experiment with other things. Right now, there isn't even an experimentation with this. This is horrible. Like, I don't want to say this is horrible. Like, horrible is friggin' Baldur's Gate and shit like that, but it's Obsidian. I already knew coming into this that they are going to leave players with no information. So only players who are familiar with the shitty development that Obsidian does with this horse shit is going to understand what to do. Other than that, somebody who picks up this game that has no idea what Obsidian does, it's not going to know how to play this. You can argue that point all you want, but the fact of the matter is, unless you can provide in-game information where the game actually told you to do what you're telling, then there is no argument that can ever be used to validate what you're talking about. Saying, oh yeah, you're dumb. Okay, you can say I'm dumb all I want, but it's not going to change that you have no information to back up what you're stating. Well, you didn't try this. Of course I didn't try that. The question isn't why didn't I try this? The question is why are you doing stuff when the game never tells you? So, that's about it. So, I'm going to end this video. Steel Gamer signing off. Have a good day or night, wherever you guys are.